Hey everybody, Alana Kaivalia here. I wanted to pop on in this live broadcast and talk to you all about spiritual leadership. The reason is that this topic continuously comes up in my community, and it's something that I work very, very hard with all of my students in order to help them elevate themselves and step into their role as spiritual leaders. So you might be wondering, what exactly is a spiritual leader? Am I being called into spiritual leadership? It's likely that you've actually already been asked to do some things as a spiritual leader and maybe haven't even recognized it. So my biggest contingency in my community are yoga teachers. That is typically who finds their way to me. I run an online yoga teacher training program, which you may have heard of, the Kaivalya Yoga Method Academy, and I've trained thousands of yoga students to become teachers over the years. And one of the things I noticed, even for myself as a yoga teacher starting 20 plus years ago, was that my students and clients were asking about more than just where to point their big toe in triangle pose. And I call this out because I feel like you probably have had a very similar experience, if not many similar types of experiences, where rather than asking about their physical fitness or their flexibility, you've got students who are actually in crisis or actually going through big challenges. And they need counsel for that. They need support in that. And this is something that is hard to find. It's especially hard to find in this day and age. And it's especially necessary in this day and age. So we have this very large tension between what doesn't exist in terms of support and what is needed in terms of our students and our clients. So the reason that it doesn't exist is really easy. If you just think about it, honestly, people can't get the kind of support they're looking for from their medical professionals. Because think about it, if you're going to ask your medical professional about a life challenge, they're probably going to send you on your way, right? And even the mental health community is restricted in the way that they're able to support you through challenges. They can only support you in a certain way. They can only support you with certain types of boundaries and interactions. And they really aren't able to tell you what to do, to give you advice. So it has a certain lane that it stays in, just as the medical profession has a lane that it stays in. I appreciate those lanes. Both of those lanes are incredibly necessary. I love them for all of the reasons that they work and help people, not diminishing those two different disciplines at all. However, I do want to point out that there is a third lane, a lane that you and I exist in, that those two different places cannot work with, right? You and I exist in the spiritual realm. We exist most specifically in the psycho-spiritual realm, which is where we integrate emotions, the psyche, spirituality. It's all wrapped up in one. We don't see it as different. We're not trying to extract the spirit from matter as they did during the Enlightenment period in the 1700s, but I'll forgive the history lesson for now. What we do is integrate the whole person and give them the guidance necessary to move toward the fullest potential of who they are. That is our greatest work. That is our greatest work. And it's something that the medical professionals aren't capable of doing. And it's something that to a large extent, the mental health professionals aren't capable of doing. Again, those places and lanes exist for their own reasons, but I want to talk to you about how you fit in this third lane that is desperately needed. We have a growing number of people. More and more people in our modern day age are walking away from their traditional religious or spiritual traditions. There's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of great reasons for that. Whatever the reasons are, when our students, clients, friends, people in our community walk away from their religious and spiritual traditions, it means that they don't have the resources that come with that, which is a place to go when those big life questions come up. And they do. You see, our psyche, the totality of our psyche is big and vast and encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses our conscious mind. It encompasses our superconscious mind, the place where we connect to spirit. And it encompasses our unconscious mind, our soul place, the place where our emotions come from, our deepest intuition. If we're not able to work with the psyche, the spirit, the soul, we don't get the guidance that we need. And we work with the psyche and spirit and soul through metaphysical means like religion and spirituality. It doesn't have to be religion. It doesn't have to be spirituality, but if we don't have a metaphysical outlet, then we don't have a place to go for life's biggest questions like, why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I meant to do? Who am I meant to serve? What does this all mean? And these questions arise for every single human being. They just do. Our psyche is built this way. But if you don't have a place to go to get those great answers, what happens? You become lost. You become apathetic. You become disconnected. And as much as we are seeing what we're calling a second pandemic of mental illness, particularly depression and anxiety, I believe that those things truly stem from disconnection. And that if we solve the issue of disconnection, we can help to alleviate and resolve the challenges of depression and anxiety. But again, that disconnection needs to have the antithesis, which I hope you know where I'm going here with this. The opposite of disconnection is what, my friends? It's yoga. Because yoga means exactly what? It means connection. And not just connection between human beings, not just feeling that you are a part of something greater. It absolutely means that, 100%. But what it mostly means is a psycho-spiritual state of being where you and all the parts of you are connected and integrated. Where that super consciousness I mentioned, that higher part of your psyche, what I like to call the spirit, is connected and able to speak clearly to your conscious mind, what you experience and move around in the world with every single day. You get messages from that higher place of your psyche and you are inspired. You know that you are a part of something greater. But also we need to connect the unconscious, that deeper place of being within the psyche, the place of our emotions, our deep wounding, our shadow, our soul. When we're able to listen to the messages that our soul provides, when we are connected to that deeper part of ourself, we are intuitive. We know exactly the path we're meant to take, who we're meant to serve, and what we're meant to do and be in this world. No one more than the spiritual leader can help someone connect with those things and with all those around them. Now, I would truly from the bottom of my heart love to tell you that all you needed to become a spiritual leader and step into spiritual leadership is a yoga teacher training. I would love to say that. It's a great start. It's going to get you partway there. It's probably going to awaken the idea of becoming a spiritual leader inside of you. Maybe that was already awakened and the thought that maybe becoming a yoga teacher would help send you in the right direction. It will. But even the most robust and most comprehensive 200 or 500 hour teacher training program is not going to quite give you the tools that you need for spiritual leadership. This is something that traditionally, historically, this is a post that would have been held by the clergy of any religious or spiritual practice throughout history. Okay, not talking any specific denomination here. This is just the idea that a person has the spiritual wisdom that is relevant to the human sitting in front of them in order to give them the best possible guidance to become most fully who they are. Now, if we look much more historically, if we look far back in history, that spiritual leadership role was held by the mystics, right? I'm a huge fan of mysticism. It doesn't have to be super weird. Trust me, I keep it really grounded in all of the courses that I have for mysticism. This is simply, the mysticism simply speaks to that metaphysical part of the psyche. That part of the psyche that wonders about larger things, that part of the psyche that's asking, what am I doing here? What does it all mean? What's my purpose, right? Mysticism is going to help to tether that, give you meaning and purpose, set you on the right path. So the mystics had mystery schools where they would learn all of the tools that would help somebody become most fully who they are and then themselves step into the role of spiritual leadership, right? That's what this is. That's what I'm talking about. We don't have that today. Well, actually, I do. I've created that for you because I know how important this is, and I know how absolutely bereft of it we are as a society. I know how much it's needed. I understand this, and I want to help you step into that role as a spiritual leader, not just for you and your benefit, but for all of the people that you work with. So in the mystery schools, not only did they have a physical practice that helped them to ground their bodies, get more centered in their bodies, heal their bodies to some extent, like you and I have the asana practice. They also had deeper forms of meditation, which honestly went beyond the more basic forms of meditation than you likely learned in your yoga teacher training. They had visualization exercises. They had healing exercises. They had specific healing tools similar to the way that you and I have the chakras. But we need to take a more modern look and approach at the chakras to understand it as a form of yoga psychology, because my friends, yoga is psychology. Patanjali tells us this in the second sutra of the book. He says, yoga is essentially a state of mind where the mind ceases to be so jumpy, right? Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. Patanjali doesn't say yoga is a state of physical being. He doesn't say it's a state of flexibility. He says it's a state of mind. We're dealing with a psychology here. We are dealing with the psyche. We're dealing with integrating the psyche if what we want truly is yoga, that sense of connection to all the parts of ourselves and all of the world around us. So if we understand the chakras as a method of yoga psychology, we have a deeper way to look at the psyche and a way to bring the messages of the unconscious, the soul, to the surface so that we can listen to them and follow them. Mystics of all time have always had a form of astrology, because astrology is how we get the big answers. They always had their own form of astrology. The Babylonians had Babylonian astrology. There was Egyptian astrology, Greek astrology, Roman astrology. We have Western astrology as modern Westerners to help us get those bigger answers that are so important and critical to us. Because we do have those questions, right? Is this my right purpose? Is this my path? What kind of tendencies am I dealing with? Well, the easiest way to figure that out is to peek under the hood of the psyche and see what's going on. You take a look at astrology, and once again, you are looking at a form of psychology. So mystics always had that. Mystics also always had a tool of divination. And again, this was specific to the time, culture, and place, right? We, as modern Westerners, have the tarot. So there's a way to, let's be honest. People who come to us for help are often in crisis and need help immediately. They have a big question and they need an answer right away. Astrology is more for long-term, bigger stuff. The tarot can be the question getting answered right now to help get that person from a crisis mode and a panic into a strategy to help resolve whatever is happening for them. These are the tools that mystics had. We've learned this for thousands of years. This is how mystics, how clergy, how spiritual leaders have always helped their clients, their students, their constituents, their people. There's not a great place to go for that now. And our students have to kind of piece it together. Now, they consistently come to the yoga teacher. I've known this for more than 20 years. I'm sure you've seen it happen. They consistently come to us because we show up with an air of spirituality. We have the spiritual backing of yoga behind us, and yoga does get us a lot of the way. So they perceive that because of that, we must have some answers. But I would submit to you that we need more training to be able to truly have and provide those answers to our people who are asking them and really who are needing them. Because we have something big going on in our world right now. We've just been through several years of a pandemic that has catapulted people into this sense of disconnection, that has made them question their lives, what they're doing with their lives, making sure that they have a job that they love, that they're not wasting their time commuting, that they're spending more time on the things that they value with their family. This is a massive, massive cultural shift. One that I've certainly never seen before. I could never have predicted this. In all of the years that I've been studying yoga, mysticism, mythology, philosophy, psychology, I've gotten a doctorate in this, you guys. This has been my work. even through all of that, I never could have predicted how absolutely necessary what you can do for people is right now. I never could have seen it coming. Honestly, it's magical. It's magical in a way that people are having these questions, having the time and space to consider, how do I live my fullest potential? How can I actually live a more fulfilled life? But again, the medical professionals are not going to answer that question for them, and neither will the mental health professionals. You and I will. And you and I can do it together. This is the work that I do. This is what I teach. This is what I'm here to tell you today. I'm here to remind you how unbelievably important you are to this work. I'm here to encourage you to step up into this calling. I'm here to tell you that there's a place that you can go to learn exactly how to become a spiritual leader and help people in this exact way. I've been doing this for years, and my next round of spiritual leadership coaching, it's a certification program, begins on October 3rd, and it provides you with everything you need. In fact, the moment you sign up, you get access to my alchemical astrology certification program, my tarot certification program, my chakra certification program. So you have all these weeks up until it starts on October 3rd, and then 6 weeks after to consume these courses, to get those additional certifications, those additional trainings. And then you and I are going to spend 6 weeks together in a small group going over exactly how to help and support people as a spiritual leader. I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of yoga psychology so you understand the psyche and how to work with it. I'm going to teach you how to get people out of a triggered crisis mode, because that's often when they're going to come to you for help. There's an incredible, special, and actually quite easy tool to help just release those emotional triggers. We're going to talk about the power of ritual to guide people through to the finish line so that they feel that they've accomplished something great, that they've actually completed a trajectory with you, that they are going to walk away from working with you as a better human being themselves. We're going to talk about mythology and the power of understanding the myth that you live by, not just so that you know the myth that you live by, so that you understand where you are in your story, what might be next, and how it's supposed to end. That gives people hope and agency to keep going through the most difficult times. Because let me tell you what being a yoga teacher is not. Being a yoga teacher is not about sparkles, rainbows, and butterflies. Being a spiritual leader and or a yoga teacher is about helping people to become better at their life, not necessarily making their life better. Life is what it is. And we are here to provide people the tools to say yes to whatever it is that life presents to them. Not to shy away from it, not to bury their heads in the sand, not to pretend like something isn't happening. You do that, you try to push things away, I will introduce you immediately to the hydraulic nature of the unconscious, where when you push things down like a jack in the box, it pops right back up. So we're going to help people actually embrace whatever challenge is in front of them and use that challenge to deepen their understanding of themselves, to become more fully who they are, and to elevate their life experience as a spiritual human being, as a whole and complete human being. This is the work of spiritual leadership. This is what has been done for thousands of years. I'm not rewriting the book here. I'm just giving you the tools. I'm showing you the pathway. So regardless of whether you decide to study with me or not and join me for my spiritual leadership certification program beginning October 3rd, I want you to pursue this work. If you're here, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you're part of my community, it's likely that you have had some sort of calling for this. There's no accidents in the universe. I believe that. I'm probably pretty sure that you do as well. You're here for a reason. You're hearing this for a reason. I've told you about some of the tools that you need to really expand your repertoire so that you can actually do this work and help people on the level that they need to be helped. They need you right now. They need you more than they ever have before. So give them your best. Give them absolutely the best of what you have to offer. And I honor you for doing that. I honor you for being who you are. I honor you for saying yes to this path. I honor you for doing this work. And I am absolutely thrilled and excited to be a part of it with you. Thank you for trusting me to provide you with whatever level of teaching that I may. Thank you for being a part of my community. And thank you for being here with me on this live broadcast. It's been my absolute pleasure to share this with you. And I look forward to doing so much more with you and just seeing how you progress on your path towards spiritual leadership. So until next time, take care of yourself.